Oh, there you go. Yeah, I should do that. Morning, everybody. Yeah. Pardon? Oh, yeah, thank you. Oh, Lord. Fix my tie for me, Christina. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, you feel free to touch me.
Just to let you know, I asked if I could touch it first, and now
Yeah. Oh my God. This is why these should be off right now. Alex is probably like, thank you, Christina. What's up? Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Christina. Good morning, and welcome back to Stampede Park. Thank you for joining us under these beautiful, sunny Alberta skies. As mentioned, I'm Steve McDonough, President, Chairman, and a proud volunteer for the Calgary Stampede. We're here today to help get the facts straight, to share more information about what the 2021 Stampede will look like. We'll hear from medical authorities we've been working with and describe the enhanced safety protocols we will be implementing for our guests to help keep Stampede safe and fun. Now, since the April 2020 Stampede cancellation, our entire organization, the volunteers and employees, have been working hard towards this July. We're very lucky to have a capable and committed team that are able to plan, pivot, and adapt through even the darkest days of the global pandemic. I'd personally like to thank our volunteers and employees for their dedication and commitment. Now, the Calgary Stampede is an internationally acclaimed event and a gathering place for our community. Throughout the city's history, the Calgary Stampede and Stampede Park have served to host and bring our community together, to learn, to be a safe space, conduct business, and to celebrate. And we are proud of that 100-year history, working in the community and for our community. Now, it's very true that over the years, we've been knocked down. In the past, 2 world wars, and economic woes, Great Depressions, and of course, that devastating flood. But each time we have faced adversity, we've gotten back up, dusted ourselves off, and put on the greatest outdoor show on earth. Now, this year, we understand it's a different environment, and we respect that. Stampede 2021 will look different from those of the past and will reflect concerns for safety that we are all still coming to terms with. At the Stampede, we are committed to working with our partners, sponsors, volunteers, employees, and Calgarians to help our community recover from the darkness of the past 16 months. Now, it is no secret that this has been a year of high anxiety, laid on to a city that was already struggling with economic hardship. And I believe the people of Calgary are looking for leadership and comfort, for something they know and they trust. And throughout our history, the July Stampede celebration has served to fill that void, to get the ball rolling, to help us reconnect with our friends and our neighbors, to be part of the community, to laugh and make new memories. There's been a lot of debate lately about how Alberta should open up again, and when. There have been criticisms of the Stampede for being one of the first organizations to open the gates. Other parts of the world have shown us that we can begin our opening of our doors as long as it is done responsibly. And we recognize that we are leading the way in Canada with our event, and we do so following best practices, advice, and safety protocols. We understand the concern, but we are worried about that many of the facts and the science have been lost in the emotion of the debate. For the past many weeks, we have been working in close partnership with medical authorities at all 3 levels of government, all of whom have given us the thumbs up. And that means a lot. Let me say one thing. We will only host a safe Stampede. The safety of our guests, competitors, and our community is our absolute priority. I'd like to finish by acknowledging there are questions and concerns about this year's Stampede. We hear the questions, we understand the questions, we respect the questions. And we hope that when Calgarians hear more about what we are doing to host Stampede responsibly and hear more about the health protocols, they will understand why we and other authorities feel comfortable moving forward. And now I would like to turn it over to our interim CEO, Dana Pierce.
Thank you very much, Steve. I'd like to start by picking up on the theme of safety for Stampede 2021, the reason we're all here today. We've been working very closely with the various key health partners, including Alberta Health, city officials, and federal authorities. And as you heard on Friday, we were very pleased that the federal government has provided approval for a modified quarantine and testing plan, which will allow rodeo participants to safely enter Canada from the United States for the Stampede Rodeo. We're committed to meeting and exceeding Alberta health guidelines and appreciate the recognition by PHAC and all 3 orders of government for their help and supportive work through this process. This decision acknowledges the importance of our iconic and world-renowned rodeo as part of our annual celebration, and we look forward to once again hosting the very best in the world here in July. In 2021, you can Stampede your way. We understand that visitors may want to shape their experience. We encourage you to plan in advance, pre-purchase your admission, and find those experiences that you enjoy and fit your comfort level. We'll be taking various measures to provide guests with the greatest level of comfort possible, including masking protocols, as well as a robust rapid testing program for our frontline employees and volunteers, reduced lineups due to digital queuing systems, sanitization stations and enhanced safety and cleaning protocols, and limitations on entry numbers and how many people can attend certain venues. We'll further continue to remain flexible in developing these protocols in the weeks ahead leading up to Stampede. Allow me to finish my comments by touching on a topic that Steve introduced, which was public misinformation. We understand there are legitimate questions out there, and we welcome them. At Stampede, we fully encourage people to make their own decisions. That's why we built in options for the visitor experience this year. But we also believe those decisions should be made on fact and not hearsay or partial information or fear. For example, there have been comparisons concerning Stampede opening when other venues are not opening, and this has largely been positioned as an issue of safety only. But this simply isn't the case. This narratives may ignore resourcing and financial realities that simply don't allow other venues to consider opening in 2021. Further, these narratives may largely ignore logistical realities that don't allow other venues to consider opening this year. Finally, these narratives fail to acknowledge the many accountable measures Stampede has taken over the last many months to make this a safe event. Often the criticism ignores important facts that Calgarians deserve to know, and of course that's why we're here today. Now I'd like to introduce Dr. Jia Hu. Dr. Hu has been advising the Stampede on our safe reopening plans.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Jia Hu, formerly a medical officer of health with the Calgary Zone with Alberta Health Services, and now helping to lead the provincial vaccine rollout. You know, in the past 15 months, 18 months, I've lived and breathed COVID, and, you know, I would not be standing here today if I did not think the Stampede could be executed both safely and responsibly. I understand that many people have concerns about the safety of the Stampede, and I sort of know where they're coming from. Many of my friends, many of my medical colleagues have approached me and asked me what's happening. And I will reiterate that, you know, we can pull this off safely and responsibly, and otherwise I wouldn't be here. So thank you.
All right, so my question, I'm Stephanie from CTV Calgary, and it's to you, Dr. Hu. With respect, I do want to touch on what you just addressed, is that I was a little surprised to see you here, just given that I chatted with you and some of your contemporaries about the safety concerns, about the, you know, the optics of having the Stampede. So can you tell me specifically, concretely, what do you think makes this event that you're going to host, or I guess you folks will host, going to be a safe one?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's three main things that'll keep the event safe. So first of all, it's primarily an outdoor event, and we know that outdoor transmission is exceedingly rare. Secondly, we are significantly reducing capacity, and Dana and Steve can comment on that. And lastly, we are taking a risk-based approach. You know, we understand that certain things are riskier than others, and that's why we're implementing things like masking, like rapid testing, considering proof of vaccination. And all of it is to say is that I think that this can be done safely and responsibly.
No, go ahead. No, you go for it.
Was part of your decision to do with the balance of people not having socialization over the last 18 months, being able to socialize and go into events? Is that part of the rationalization?
For hosting the Stampede? I mean, maybe that's a you question.
Well, I'm happy to do my best. I can't say that that's been part of the rationale. What we have done is our teams have worked very, very hard. Safety is first and foremost. We've been working since October with Alberta Health and other health authorities to understand what July might look like, and to try and plan accordingly and make sure that we're meeting or exceeding all guidelines.
Yeah, and I'll just layer on a little bit. I mean, we all know that we need to reopen at some point, right? If nothing else, for the health and well-being of Albertans. But that doesn't mean that safety, you know, safety is always tantamount to this, right? And again, I think this can be done safely. I think it can be done responsibly. And that is always sort of at least my primary consideration about how this event goes on.
To the attendance, do you have daily numbers that you're expecting? Do you expect it to, because we're talking about reduced capacity at a large number of these venues, do you expect it to be much lower than, you know, previous Stampedes?
Sure, yes, I'm happy to. I mean, we certainly understand that there'll be no foreign visitors this year. That maybe consists of approximately 12 to 15% of a typical Stampede attendance. We're looking at the situation, and we believe probably that will be probably 50% of what a typical day at the Stampede would be in terms of numbers.
Sorry?
50%, correct.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go for it. I don't want to hog it.
No, it's okay. I was just going to ask, you mentioned the masking and the vaccination proof. Is that for staff or for people attending? Both of those.
Right. So we've committed to both our frontline employees and volunteers to mandatory masking and to a regime of rapid testing, which we've had put in place. Again, we'll follow the guidelines as they evolve as well, and make sure that we're at least exceeding, But again, it's the city of Calgary and the province that ultimately determine what those guidelines are. But I can tell you that we will, and in terms of our frontline employees and volunteers, be mandating masking.
When the Premier spoke a few weeks ago, he said he'd like to see a vaccination site set up on site and possibly rapid testing for visitors. Is that possible? Is that something that's being considered?
We continue to work with the provincial authorities and with Alberta Health, and we're certainly open to having a vaccination site here and have expressed that, and certainly we'll wait for their guidance and we'll make whatever arrangements they would like to have.
Will there be any consideration for guests coming in to prove that they've been vaccinated at all?
So when it comes to certain venues, we are exploring the idea of proof of vaccination or rapid testing and a negative result thereof. So definitely our teams continue to explore that.
Do you know which venues?
Well, I would say in particular Nashville North, I know is one that our teams continue to work on. Again, we've made significant changes there. As you can see, even in the structure, it's an open air type event. It's more of a canopy, not a tent, allowing it to be more of an outside experience. Digital queuing, as I mentioned, all those things to make sure we don't have people lining up. And we continue to work towards, again, a safe reopening.
I just want to be clear. Have you made decisions about what each event is going to look like? How many people will be admitted to different venues, or are these still under consideration? I think I was expecting a little bit more detail about what exactly you're planning to do, but is that still up in the air?
Well, what I can say about the last several months is that everything has been very much in flux and very fluid, and we continue to evolve, and we will continue to evolve up to the last day. We have put forward plans to Alberta Health that have been accepted in terms of our occupancies in these specific different areas, and our plan is to move forward with what we've presented. So yes, it will be reduced capacity everywhere and in all venues.
So, for example, obviously we're standing in front of the grandstand. Do you know how many tickets you'll be selling for this venue specifically, for some of the big main events that we expect at Stampede?
Yeah. So again, I mean, the grandstand will have reduced capacity. One of the things that I focused on, even in my comments, was that allowing people to make their choices. So those that want to have more social distance choices, all those things, will be able to find that through their ticket purchase. I think that, again, I would go back to my earlier statement and say that we're probably anticipating closer to a 50% occupancy.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just add a few things around that. I mean, I think that with respect to finalizing things, everything with the pandemic has been sort of, we make the best plans we can and they evolve, right? That's what I've dealt with when I managed long-term care outbreaks, everything like that. And I think that makes the most sense. We have to sort of see where things are at with the provincial vaccine rate. We have to sort of see where things are at, let's say, with the variants. But at the end of the day, there are, I think, analogs to sort of the safety of this event, right? If we go back a year and look at some of the big protests happening in the US, far more people, far tighter, no masking, and we didn't see necessarily a huge uptick in cases there at all. And I think the outdoor nature of the event, including the grandstand, is highly, highly protective. The bits where there's less outdoor stuff is where we're going really above and beyond. Even the contemplation of proof of vaccination and rapid antigen testing is fairly unprecedented, actually, for any sort of event right now in the province of Alberta. And so I do think that again, nothing is more important than the safety of this event happening, and we are going to take steps to ensure it will be safe.
Sorry, I just wanted to clarify one other thing. You said you would be requiring masks for volunteers and employees. Will that expand to attendees as well in any way? Are you considering that?
So again, what I said is that we will be mandating masks for our frontline employees and volunteers, and we would certainly encourage our guests to also wear masks.
I guess I'm still unclear about how you're going to curb crowds. Are you waiting to see how many people buy tickets? Are you limiting it at a certain point, or you just don't know because it's...
We will
things could-
definitely be limiting capacity. I think, as Dr. Hu said, it is continue to be a very fluid situation. And, you know, we have put in a number of protocols to make sure that we can control capacity, everything from online purchase of admission through to even some of our special days, such as Community Day, where you know in the past where kids can get in for free for a limited period of time. Community Day this year, we plan to extend that so that it's all day free for kids, so that we're not getting that kind of rush. We've taken an awful lot of precautions in terms of limiting the number of things on park, widening our aisles, approximately 25% less content so that we create more space for people so they can feel safe and feel distance. And we'll continue to move in that direction and continue to monitor where things are at throughout this next few weeks and through Stampede.
Are there plan Bs and Cs and fallback plans just in case there is an identified outbreak on day 2 or 3 of the event, and as we go through or into the 10-day festival? What would that look like?
Again, we're focused on having a very safe Calgary Stampede 2021, and we'll continue to follow the guidelines of Alberta Health and the other health officials.
As for the Midway, is it Conklin? Are they coming?
I'm sorry?
Oh, will it be the same people coming to do the Midway at this point, the rides?
Correct.
North American Midway?
North American Midway.
And so they'll just have less rides this year or whatever?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Will it still be $1 million rodeo with the reduced attendance?
Yes, in terms of our rodeo, it is a PRCA rodeo, and prizing and so forth. It'll be the world's best cowboys that will be here, and that's why we were so excited to receive the news last week that the U.S. cowboys and rodeo athletes could attend. That's correct.
To sponsorships at all, have any sponsors or partnerships with the Calgary Stampede? We have heard of, maybe taking the name off, but still financially giving donations. Can you speak to how widespread that is? Are you hearing from sponsors that they want things to be a little different this year, or they have concerns of the backlash for them?
Yeah. So, let me first say that we've been tremendously grateful to the support that we've received from our sponsors. That continues to be an ongoing dialogue every year. And again, those sponsors that continue to be here at the Calgary Stampede, we're very, very grateful to them. We understand as we've been challenged throughout this pandemic, that many in the community and many other organizations have also been challenged, and we continue to be grateful for those sponsors that continue to be here. There has been, I think in one particular instance, it was public, TC Energy had made a statement, again, they've been a wonderful partner. Everybody needs to make their own decisions, and we understand that. I think to some degree it's, been misinformation, though, and misunderstanding that's led to some of those.
Energy be maybe the most, like you were saying, that was made public, but have there been a number of other businesses? Is there a number of amounts that have expressed these concerns or who have kind of pulled back?
No, this isn't a situation where it hasn't been the majority, no.
Dr. Hu, could you maybe speak to safety monitoring during the days of Stampede? Will there be an aspect of sort of, more intensive contact tracing if there is an active case that's identified that was on park or something like that? How will that work?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I guess as somebody who sort of managed every type of outbreak under the sun, we have a lot of experience doing this, and we'll be doing a lot, right? So first thing is we'll be working very closely with Alberta Health Services, my former colleagues, to ensure that there's very seamless communication. That's actually maybe the most important thing to set up the contact tracing. Secondly, we'll have the information of people who buy tickets, so we'll know who's in, who's out, depending on the venue. We'll have more specific information. And in my mind, it's critically important actually that we identify cases as quickly as possible. Like, I don't doubt that a case will walk into the Stampede in the same way that, cases in the community today. But I do think that the combination of our preventative measures, as well as the sort of responsive measures, which is early identification of cases, rapid tracing, rapid notification, is gonna, nip anything in the bud quite quickly.
And then I'm also just wondering a little bit more about the midway, and I'm not sure, Mr. Piers, you might be the best to address this. Will there be any aspect of additional sanitizing or additional rules that people have to follow after they get on and off rides, that type of thing?
Absolutely. There will be a team of employees that are actually specifically tasked with the COVID protocols and cleaning and sanitizing. And those protocols continue to be under review, and we're working with Alberta Health to put in order the cadence and so forth for those protocols as they see fit.
Just one more thing. I know you touched on this earlier, but you also wanted to dispel some of the myths. Mm-hmm. What exactly are you hearing out there that you mentioned that is misinformation?
Sure. Well, again, the one that I pointed out was really to do with, safety and, why are other events not proceeding under the context that some have said that it has to do strictly with safety. And really what I'm trying to dispel there is I don't believe that's the case. I believe that the case really is that, it takes a certain amount of logistics and planning in order to put these kinds of events together. And, we're unusual. We're lifted by 2,500 volunteers and a terrific team here that has been working tirelessly since October of last year to envision and reimagine how we can possibly operate with restrictions in place and be safe.
Just a quick question about the contract tracing, thinking of other festivals and events that you go to where you maybe have a wristband and it tracks literally where you are throughout the park. Is that something that's been considered, or is there a way to contact people who are coming into the Stampede, and if there was an outbreak at the rodeo or at Nashville North or something like that, to contact them and let them know?
We do have contract tracing protocols in place, and again, a team of people that are monitoring all of that. For me to give you more specifics than that, I'd probably need to get some other information from the team.
Yeah, I can take this, right? So sure. All this stuff is pretty confusing, I think, but when you think about contact tracing, I think about you're at the highest risk when you're sort of indoors, right? And you're like at higher risk the longer you're in contact with people. And so if I think about, and this is one of the myths I think that maybe should be dispelled, right? I think right now there's a global thought that the Stampede, it's really big, it's not safe, right? But it's important to decompose the event into like different sub-events, right? So the vast majority is outside, the midway, people are walking around. And in that particular setting, there's been almost no transmission. Even if I go into the grocery stores that we still go to, or, Canadian Tire or something like that, even indoor passing by is not really associated with significant transmission. When it comes to contact tracing, and so in that case, the risk is super low. We'll still contact trace everybody. But the key things are, whether you're using bracelets, whether you're using the AB Trace Together app, which I think is very nice too. The important thing is in the higher risk settings, let's say you're seated next to somebody, right? Even if you're outdoors, you're close to them for a few hours, yada, yada. In that situation, we'll know who people are. We'll be able to rapidly notify them. The electronic ticketing is actually really helpful for that because you automatically have people's information. And so I do think that we have a really, really robust sort of contact tracing process, which will, in the event that something happens, we'll be very quickly able to contain it.
Are you guys going to be using time ticketing? And I guess if not, is there going to be some cutoff in the day if you guys do reach capacity? And what are the considerations around that?
Yeah, so again, by going to a pre-purchase type system as we've announced for 2021, that does let us understand when and where we can expect people to be arriving, and again, allow us to be able to control the overall admission to the park.
I'm sorry to keep hammering on this a little bit. When do you expect to be able to tell Calgarians, you know, this is the amount of tickets that are available for, if you want to go to this or that event, this is how many there are, and they're being released? When will that happen?
Well, I don't think it's an instance of needing to tell Calgarians when and where how many tickets are available. Number one, online, they'll be able to see what tickets are available for the different venues and shows and so forth. And again, in terms of the gate, again, they'll be able to go online, pre-purchase. If it's not available, it's not available. They'll have to find another time.
Are you able to speak, is the Stampede caravan going to operate kind of fully the same way this year as well?
So what I can say is that all of our volunteer committees have been working on operational plans to meet the guidelines and to envision how they can operate throughout the 10 days. I can't speak specific to the caravan committee, but again, those discussions are ongoing with those groups and with those volunteers to understand how they can operate. You'll recall last year, Caravan did even operate as a drive-through. So again, everybody's making modifications and changes and trying to adjust to the ongoing rules and regulations.
I do have one more question. Are you also able to speak to hotels? Has the Stampede booked out hotels in town for any different reasons, whether it's quarantine or just for staff, volunteers?
Yeah, so I can say that, again, with our protocols around the foreign rodeo contestants, there has been some hotel reservations and so forth in that regard. Those are the only ones that I'm aware of.
You mentioned that this is the first time the PRCA has recognized the Calgary Stampede in a couple of decades. Can you break down the prize money? How much of it will go towards the world standings, and how much is it going to be just within the format? And I assume it's the same, an A pool, a B pool, a short go-around on Saturday, and then championship Sunday. So a couple of thoughts on the rodeo particularly.
Yes, so, again, thank you for that, and thank you for catching me without maybe some specifics. I think that, we're very, very proud of the fact that the PRCA is recognizing the Calgary Stampede Rodeo. I don't have for you the breakdown as to what prize money is representative of their situation or their organization. I can get those numbers for you, but we're certainly very pleased and looking forward to those Cowboys being here. Thanks.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Go have a bottle of water now.
Good job.
Thank you.